Hey, welcome to Gear Jammer Garage. Today I'm going to be installing this Intellitronix cluster on the truck here. This is an Intellitronix, part number is BG6003. It's for 67 to 72 Chevy trucks. Oh, it says Chevy pickup on there. So, looks like a pretty cool unit. I'll get it installed and we'll see what we think. These are all the wires that need to get installed, and it says right here what do you need to find: battery, 12 volts, high beam, mile per hour, brake, RPM, oil, fuel, left turn signal, right turn signal, temperature, and dimmer. So I've had this for a while now and I've been planning on doing it. I've already gone ahead and found the wires that I need and labeled them, and the ones that I don't have I have ran separately, which is down here. Well, this orange one is for something else. I'll make a video on that. The red one is for the fuel pump. The two that I'm going to be using from here, well, this blue one, this is going to be for my oil pressure. This green one is for the tachometer, and this yellow one is going to the gas tank for the sending unit. Up here, I'm going to cut this completely off right here. All the wires that I need are labeled: gas, brake, battery hot, high beam, turn signal, right, left. So we'll get to that. And then the dimmer, you can't use a dimmer that's controlled by this knob. So this switch here, oh, I have the old one. This switch here has this terminal that's not used in the truck's harness, which is, it's kind of dark in here, which is this one here. So I'm gonna add a wire here and I'm gonna use that for my dimmer, and then I'm not gonna use the gray wire that's in here. I'll get some more lights in here when I get to that step, but for now, let's get the cluster ready, the bezel, and the wiring. The harness that's in the truck is gonna get cut and wired to this connector here. I don't like that. When I ordered it in the picture, all the wires were different colors, and when this is what I received, there's just 4 colors, but we'll label it and we'll make it work. One side of this is going in the truck, and the other one I'm gonna wire to the cluster itself. For the speed, I'm using this GPS unit here. That way my tire size, my gear ratio, whatever transmission I'm using, none of that's ever gonna matter, because I'll always be getting speed off of this GPS signal here. And then since I'm not running a choke, I'm gonna put the button here where the choke used to be. And what I did is I took this little this metal piece here that had the choke cable coming out of it. I cut it. I drilled it out about a 1/4 inch just to get this piece to go through. This is what comes in the box. I'm not going to use this, but this is where you would hook up to your transmission, and then this would give you the signal for your speedometer. We're not going to use this. Like I said, we're going to use a GPS unit. You get a little bit of ground wire and a bag of hardware. All right, first step we got to do, you get this plastic overlay and knock out all the pieces you're going to need out. This here. So then you put these little screws that come in the kit in here. So we got those in. Maybe make this a little bit more flush. I missed a step. So you do that with these little screws and then these metal spacers that come with it. Set that off to the side. Here we're going to remove this cover. It has it on both sides. The kit doesn't come with screws to attach the circuit board to the bezel, so I'm going to use the old ones from my old cluster and just transfer those 4 over. So the sending unit that I have in the tank is a 0 to 90 ohm, and there's these switches here, and for GM 0 to 90 ohm it's the number 1 up, the number 2 down. So I already have that set. I got this mounted already. It's pretty cool. So now I'm going to strip all these cables. I'm going to wire it to this. So this will be connected to that. And then the reason why I'm doing this is if I ever need to pull this off, just for ease of serviceability, I'd rather just unplug this and then have this wired in the truck, and this will be my whole cluster that'll come out, instead of having to deal with individual wires, remembering where they go, because these colors are not the same as the colors of the wires that are in the truck. So real quick, I'm gonna strip all these ends, strip this, wire this in, and then we'll continue when this is done and we're working back in the truck. So I got all my wires labeled. I cut the connector off. And the new connector that I need to wire in is also labeled. The one thing I do gotta do is this open port here. I'm gonna add this factory style terminal to here, and that's what I'm gonna use for my dimming. And this is the same thing I had to do to run the oil wire, because this truck had a mechanical gauge, and the harness that I use is for a truck with an oil light. So the truck's harness also had an open port like this, and what you do is you just grab this thing, put it in from the back, hang on, it goes like this. Once it clicks, there you go, just like a factory style, like it came from the truck. So now we can test it. There we go. So that, see, that clicked. Then I could plug this in here. Put this in here. Right. Turn the headlights on. And then this. Like that. If I ground it, this should turn on, and it does. And then if I unplug this, turn this off, there we go. So that's gonna be my circuit for the dimming. So just like I did on the cluster side, I'm gonna wire this up. Everything's been labeled: temperature, dimmer, battery, parking brake. Or actually on this car there's no parking brake, so what, that's a brake warning light. I'll explain that later. Brake warning light, oil, tachometer, right turn signal, left turn signal. I have all that here. The two wires I'm not using is the alternator wire and the one that goes to this dial. Other than that, I'm using everything here, and the things that I've added is this purple wire for the dimmer that's going here to the switch, the green one for the tachometer, and the blue one for the oil. So I got the harness hooked up, and I got a new light switch. This is the part number for it here. It's from GM. So for the speedo, this GPS unit here, it doesn't unplug from here, so it's fixed. So what I'm thinking of doing is I'm gonna pop up this heater and pass the wire through there. I'll leave the GPS here on the dash, and then I'll put the module down under here, and then on the wires that I'm gonna need, battery, ground, and this one, it's gonna be the white wire, battery and ground, and this white wire is 8,000 pulses per minute. The orange one and the blue one are, I think one's 10 or 12,000, one's 4,000 or 6,000, something like that. Whatever. You don't use these two if you're using the Intellitronix gauges. You just use the white one. So I'm gonna plug all that in real quick, and then we can finish this install. So the GPS needs a signal of the sky. I'm gonna put it right there on the dashboard. This vent thing ended up being broken, so perfect place for the wire to pass. And then the module is taped right here. The little button thing is going here where the choke used to go. And then I just T-tapped it into the ignition wire for the cluster itself and the ground for the cluster itself. So if I turn the key, this thing should start looking for a signal. It won't find a signal because, you know, I'm in the garage, but it should start working. Yep. That works. So next time I drive this thing outside, it'll do its thing and then it'll start to work. I'm going to put the cluster back in, test everything, and I gotta get this thing off, and this will be done. So let's do that real quick and finish this up. So I got all the gauges in. I ran the engine already, but I ran out of fuel. This is my electric fuel pump wire here, and it's like 2 in the morning, so I'm not gonna start it again, but you can see the gauges come on. I had the battery unplugged so the clock reset. I haven't set this, so I gotta read the instructions and see how to set this, but everything works. Oil pressure, temperature's at 0 because I don't have coolant. The volts go up to 14 when the engine's running, so I know my alternator's charging. That's good. I only have a couple of gallons in the gas tank, so this is marking almost empty, but when it's unplugged it's marking full, so I know that's working. My turn signals work. When I turn on the high beams, they dim a little bit, and then when I turn on the headlights, they dim a little bit, and then when I turn on the high beams, the little light comes on. So it's got a lot of work left here and there and interior, but cluster's in and everything's working. So thanks for watching, guys. See you guys next time.